Are you frustrated with the family chore system that keeps falling apart? Most of the time, it is not because of the chart. There are foundational steps that a lot of moms skip, and without them, no system is going to stick. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what those missing steps are and the 4-step method that will shift from doing it all yourself to leading a family team where your kiddos actually help willingly and your home finally runs smoothly because you're all working together to get it all done. A lot of moms blame the chart, the kids, or themselves when the chores don't stick. And while some of that might be true, the real issue is not so simple and it often runs deeper. Problem number 1 is that we don't check what we expect. If you assign a chore but don't inspect it, you are actually training your kiddos to do a poor job. In other words, inconsistent follow-through teaches them to ignore the standard that you've set or teaches them that chores are simply optional. The check what you expect rhythm has to be built into your day and not left to memory, trust me. So if this is your struggle, try putting a 5-minute chore check block right after chore time in your daily rhythm. Tack it on to something else that you already do in the day without thinking, like right before you start cooking dinner. That will make it a lot easier to remember and to be consistent. Problem number 2 is that first-time obedience isn't expected consistently. Ephesians 6:1 says that children are commanded to obey their parents in the Lord. If first-time obedience isn't your standard, or if you only enforce it sometimes, chores are going to become a power struggle. You really can't build a chore system that works smoothly when obedience itself is inconsistent. If this is your struggle, consider starting with one simple obedience game this week, especially if your kiddos are small. This is actually mostly if they're younger. But some examples are red light, green light, or the Yes Mom game, where you give silly commands like touch your head or jump 3 times, and they respond with Yes Mom and follow through with a smile. This helps them practice cheerful obedience in a fun, low-pressure moment before you ever assign a chore, and this really applies to everything else too. But we found that this is really helpful, is to train proactively. Problem number 3 is when we skip the training step. And I'm not talking about obedience, I'm talking about as it pertains to chores. A lot of times we might hand the kiddos a chart and walk away expecting them to just figure it out. But without proactive, patient training, not just correction after the fact, they won't really know how to do it well. And this is where a lot of us get stuck. We're trying to manage behavior or aiming only for a specific result that will help us without training their hearts and their hands. We react to what they're doing wrong instead of teaching them how to do it right. However, there is a structured approach that really addresses this problem, and it's called the S.E.E.D method, and it shifts everything from reactive correction to proactive training. Once you understand this little system, chores ultimately stop feeling like a battle. If you're realizing you need help building the daily rhythms and the habits that make your home run smoothly, I walk you through exactly how to do that in my free masterclass. You can grab that down below. So let's get back to it. Here is how the training actually works. And truly, without this step of training your children, family chore systems are destined to fall apart. So here's how to think about it. In this method, your child is leveling up through 4 stages. Each one builds on the last, so if you skip a step, they're not going to be ready for what comes next. But once you get the hang of this method, it's actually really simple. Also, I'm going to, at the end, show you the 2-jar system that we use that helps it really stick. One jar celebrates their wins and the other builds their skills. So the S.E.E.D method is actually an acronym, and in that acronym, S equals show. So this is level 1, where they watch you. Don't just tell them what to do, model it first. Walk them through the chore step by step while they watch you. For example, you can tell your kiddo, let me show you how I wipe the table. We're gonna start at one end, use small circles, don't miss the edges. Make sure you don't wipe off the crumbs, but scrub and make it clean. The common pitfall here is rushing through this step because it can feel slow, but if they don't see it done right and they don't know what you expect, they can't really replicate it. E equals explain, and this is level 2, where they learn the why. In this step, it's best to break it down into simple, clear steps that they can remember. And for young kiddos, I would most certainly keep it really simple and keep it to about 3 to 5 steps max. For example, you can say, first, spray the counter, then wipe in circles, last, rinse the rag and hang it up. Or if they're cleaning the bedroom, you can say, tidy the floors, check under the bed and the dresser, clear off the dresser. I think you understand what I'm getting at. If they can read, it's also really helpful to type out the steps and hang them where they're going to be doing the chore eventually on their own. This helps prevent you from having to repeat yourself, and it gives a bit of accountability for them. But one common pitfall here is giving too many steps at once. If you do that, they will tune out or feel overwhelmed before they start. So I would encourage to keep it simple. You can always add on some more steps if you need to as they get the hang of it. The second E in S.E.E.D means to engage, and this is level 3 where they do it with you. This is a time to work side by side for the first few days, depending on their age. It could be weeks, like if you've got a 3 or 4-year-old, and this is where the real learning happens. This step helps them build muscle memory. I definitely recommend to keep it lighthearted in a time where they can even bond with mom. Sometimes, especially with boys, it can actually be helpful to make it a competition and say something like, let's see if we can beat the timer together, or let's see if you can beat me. I'm gonna go make my bed, you make your bed. I guess that comes a little later whenever they're doing it on their own, but I think you know what I'm trying to get at here. For example, when I started to teach my 4-year-old how to make his bed, when we first started, I worked alongside him, telling him what I was doing, eventually having him do it as I instructed him and cheered him on, and I would help him if he needed the help. We did this with his morning routine as he was getting ready for the day. So this works well for that age because when they're really little like that, they love to please mom and dad and they want to help. The common pitfall here is taking over when they struggle or if they're going slower than you would like. So I would certainly encourage you to resist the urge to just do it faster yourself, or just kind of undermines the process if you do that. But anyway, the D in S.E.E.D is to delegate. And this is level 4, the last level where they do it solo. At this point, you can step back and let them try it on their own while you observe. Sometimes this can be hard. I can still catch myself wanting to jump in and fix things, but this is where you see what they've actually absorbed. It works really well to make sure you look for things to praise first. For example, you can say, I love how you wiped the whole table, or you remembered to rinse the rag, great job. Just look for opportunities to encourage them. I found when I start with affirmation and encouragement, correction lands a whole lot better. They know that I see their effort, so gently redirecting them or correcting them doesn't feel discouraging. And if they miss something, gently correct after you've affirmed. Like what I might say is, hey buddy, I still see crumbs on the table. Go grab the rag and finish your job, please. It doesn't have to be in depth or anything, just lightheartedly correct them and redirect, and they'll get the point over time. If you only point out what they've missed, they will feel defeated and might not want to try again. But starting with praise makes all the difference. And even better, we like to end with praise or encouragement as well. You can make it a praise sandwich, I like to say. Start with encouragement, correct, and then encourage again. This keeps the morale up for everybody. Now for the 2-jar system. This part has been really helpful for our kiddos. The first one is the chore jar. I learned this from a friend who has 9 kids, and it works really well for her, and we found that it works really well for us. But this is for assigning extra chores or extra practice when they show that they need it. The jar is filled with extra tasks like scrubbing baseboards or wiping down doors, just little odds and ends that actually do help. But if there's like a bad attitude, or if they don't beat the timer because they were distracted, they simply draw from that jar. This is not punishment for punishment's sake, it's practice, and it trains them. It's quite motivating because who wants to hear, it sounds like you need more reps, go ahead and go draw an extra chore. So they really like to try to avoid that. On the other hand, the sticker jar celebrates a job well done. When they beat the timer and work diligently, they can pick out a sticker. It's simple, but it works, and they love it, especially, obviously, probably mostly in the younger years. If you've got older kiddos, you could consider another simple reward system, but this has just been really helpful for our kiddos. These 2 jars create a clear standard. There is blessing with diligence and obedience, but distraction gets more practice. The goal here is progress and to shape over time a solid work ethic in our kiddos. But here's the thing, and this is critical. Again, you have to check what you expect. So be sure to build this into your daily rhythm. After chore time, take just 5 minutes to walk through and inspect. If it's not done, calmly call them back to finish. This rhythm of inspect, praise, and correct if needed is what makes the S.E.E.D method stick. Once our kiddos understood the pattern to train, practice, and check, correct, or celebrate, it became more of a rhythm and not a fight. But there's one more part that made all of this especially joyful for everybody. By the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Lauren. I'm a homeschooling mom of 6, and here on this channel, I help homemakers very practically bring rhythm and rest into the heart of their home. And I'm sharing this today from the trenches. I have a newborn right now, and this season has shown me just how well this team-based approach actually works. I physically need the help right now, and my older kiddos have stepped up joyfully, not because I'm suddenly asking them to, but because we've trained them diligently over the course of time to be part of the Mefford team. This did not happen by accident. It is the fruit of years of patient, diligent training, and this season has especially been the ultimate stress test. So I want to share what finally made chore time feel like teamwork instead of a battle. The real shift happened when I stopped being the taskmaster and became the team leader. One of the biggest ways that this played out in our home was through how we approached chore time itself. At this point in our home, we actually use meal times as our anchor for family chores. It's not always what we've done, but it works for us at this point, and it's when everybody contributes together. To credit where it's due, I learned this little method that I'm going to talk about from Katie Vogtberg's mom from Now That We're a Family. They are wonderful people. If you don't know their podcast, you should totally check them out. I'm going to link them down below. But anyway, since at this point, we center our chores around meal times, we decided to try to make it more fun. So we set a timer for 15 to 20 minutes. We turn on some upbeat music if it's not already too loud. Sometimes things get a little crazy in the evenings, but we turn on some music and we make it a party. So everyone is working together. One child does the dishes, another sweeps and wipes the counters. A 4-year-old picks up toys and dumps the rags in the hamper. I tackle miscellaneous tasks, and my husband handles his part. If somebody finishes early, they simply go and help another family member try to beat the timer. So because of that, the team dynamic is a whole lot stronger. It's no longer just me cleaning up after meals and taking care of XYZ. We are working together as a team, and it's wonderful. The biggest thing that has blessed me as the home manager is the standard that we set with all of this. Our kiddos are expected to work focused and diligently and beat the timer. I actually tell them, let's not talk. We can sing, but we can't talk. Let's just get through this, because when the little kids start talking and having conversations, they just get distracted. So we sing together, we focus, and we try to beat the timer. So I set the timer, and I no longer have to hear my own voice prompting them to focus. If a child does not beat the timer because they were dragging their feet or distracted, they receive the natural consequence of drawing from the chore jar. The timer does the correcting and not me. I obviously still verbally follow up afterward and just tell them, you didn't beat the timer because you were playing instead of working. That's why you're drawing a chore. But I'm not nagging throughout our chore time. And that's been a great relief for me, because I was tired of hearing my own voice before we started implementing this method. So this has been very helpful for all of us. And when we lean into this, it keeps the tone light instead of tense and frustrating. Through all of this training, our kiddos have grown in diligence and skill and initiative. They feel more competent and capable, and they even ask if they can help me with anything, especially right now. Right now, like I said, I'm in the newborn phase, and my older kiddos joyfully step in to help. It's a blessing to them and to us. By God's grace, they've learned that serving others is a joy and it's not a burden. This shift from having a chaotic home to a home that has more teamwork did not happen overnight. And no, it's not perfect. I think that hopefully goes without saying, but just in case, we still have issues that we need to correct regularly. But once the foundation was in place, obedience, training, follow through, this became our family rhythm, and teamwork became a part of our family culture. It's such a blessing, and anyone can do it. So here's what you can do this week. Pick one chore per child to start training using the S.E.E.D method. And again, build, check what you expect into your daily rhythm, and then turn chore time into a team effort over time with a simple timer and music, or you can even sing together. We do that too. And I'll link my favorite timer in the description below. It's a visual timer. Our kiddos love it. Again, if you want help building rhythms that work for your home, don't forget to check out that free masterclass. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll see you in the next one.